Kenyans of goodwill, you must come out and defend the right of the Kenyans who are living in the northeastern part of the country to live as normal Kenyans and to have the equal dignity and rights of Kenyans. I think for the first time we have a president who has shown that he's going to clear this issue of, half of Kenyan, feel loved, respected, with all the full rights of being a Kenyan, while the other half, you see, the people in northern Kenya are very many, and those people assume that because the people have not been properly counted, proper census cannot happen in a situation where we have banditry, we have lawlessness, we have security situation is very dicey. So I don't believe this issue of people saying that, if you do away with the vetting, then the Kenyans in the northern part of Kenya are going to invite everybody else from Somalia, and neighboring countries, Ethiopia and so on, to be Kenyans. Equally should be said of the Luos. The Luos are bordering Tanzania to the south, in the Mara region. In our whole province, the Mara region is dominated by the Luos in Tanzania, Musoma and so on. Even Dio Owino Misiani, who used to be a very great musician in Kenya here, was a Tanzanian, but many people assume that he's Kenyan just because he was playing and plying his trade so much in Kenya. The same could be said of Masai Tanzania and Masai Kenyan. The same could be said of the Chagas, Loitoktok border area. The Chagas in Kenya and the Chaga in Tanzania. The Masais in Kenya, Masai in Tanzania. The Kurias, the Kalenjins from Kenya and Tanzania. The Pokots in Kenya and Uganda. The Kalenjins in Kenya and Uganda, not Tanzania. The Pokots in Kenya and Uganda. The Oromos, and so on. So I really appreciate President William Ruto for coming out and doing away with the special vetting. It is not that vetting is not there. And I don't believe that President William Ruto is going to remove the vetting. Vetting is being done for everybody. And that's why when you're seeking employment or you're seeking ID card, you're being asked for the ID of your parents. You're being asked for the good conduct certificate. They're being asked for some documents from your chief and so on. The vetting is happening for everybody else. But there's a special kind of vetting which is being done in northern Kenya, which should not be done to any Kenyan. If there's a security situation and there's a state of emergency in that region, sawa. But how do you keep up with some discriminatory practices in the country 60 years after independence? How do you tell the people who have been born it is not their mistake that you have a volatile security situation in their neighborhoods? It is not the mistake of the people who are there. It is not the mistake of the common mwananchi there. It is for the leaders who are elected, who are appointed to ensure that the security situation is normalized. But you cannot punish a whole population while there is no emergency. There is no state of emergency. You cannot punish the Somalis, the Boranas. You cannot punish all the ethnicities, the Samburus and so on, all the ethnicities in these regions, and ensure that they live in a situation where they cannot access documents to also move ahead with their lives. People want to go to universities. People want to open businesses. How do you ensure that people cannot obtain documents validly? If you make it hard for people to obtain documents validly, you must know that people will obtain the same documents through the black market. So the moment you introduced very strict vetting, then corruption will increase in that area. The counterfeits will increase in that area. You are also sidelining our whole population and ensuring that they are very bitter against the government, against successive regimes. We have to do away with some of these practices, even when the special vettings is favoring some of us. If the vetting of the people in northern Kenya is favoring a Kikuyu or a Luo or a Luya or a Kalenjin somewhere, we must, who have been favored, must demand that every Kenyan is treated right, because you cannot live with favors alone. At some point, you would want to live in a country where, you know, law is respected and everybody abide by it. But it is very sad for me to see human rights, you know, activists who have claimed to fight for the rights of Kenyans. How do you, as Boniface Mwangi, wake up and say that, unajua, sasa tunataka kuleta wa Somali hapa? You know, it is a language which is discriminatory. It is a language which is, you know, insulting to our whole population. The people who are working very hard. I have a very good number of friends over. You know, there are also cultural differences which they have and understanding which they have. But we can only correct them by embracing each other. I grew up with a good number of the Somali community in Ahero, and they're still there. They married the locals. They have been plying their trade in the market center in the Kisumu area. We've been friends. I've known them for more than 30 years. We've been friends for a great deal of time. But how do you allow the discrimination of Kenyans and think that it should be normalized? Think that when the situation is being changed, then now you are at a disadvantage. How is it that your advantage is just entitlement and you know, discriminatory practices on others? Your advantage is that not that you have a core competence. It's not that you went to school, have a special skill which you can sell in the market, in the free labor market. You want to have an advantage because somebody has been, you know, put down. I think that is a very bad thing. We have to condemn any language coming from the lawyers, the pseudo activists, you know, the commercial ones who know nothing about human rights, but only fight ethnic rights and call it human rights. I wish that, you know, people would wake up and demand a very good, fair treatment for the people in the northern Kenya. We cannot allow the mistreatment and the discrimination to go on forever. Asanteni sana.